Hello everyone, welcome to Tradeland FX Africa Fundamental Market Outlook for Tuesday 13th of September 2022.
The Japanese economy heavily relies on its manufacturing industry. The first quarter and second quarter of 2022 had a decline below zero at -7.6 and -9.9 consecutively. This means that the Japanese economy is in a worsening condition. However, the consensus expects it to be at -8.1. Australia's Westpac consumer sentiment had a previous figure of -3.0%. Since November 2021, Westpac consumer sentiment has been negative below zero. This shows how pessimistic the economy has been. Let's see if the August figure will take the economy to a positive figure. Still from Australia, National Australia Bank's business confidence increased from 1 in June to 7 in July, which signifies improving conditions. Let's see if it will keep up the image. The UK's average earnings index plus bonus has been dropping since April 2022. The personal income group of Brits 3 months in a row has been dropping due to fears of possible recessions. The consensus are expecting a 0.3% increase from its previous 5.1% to 5.4%. The claimant count change has been increasing from May 2022 to July 2022. Let's see if the number of unemployed people in the UK will reduce to -13.2k according to consensus. Compared to last year, from March to May, except for June 2022, the employment change 3 months by 3 months, month over month, has been beating expectations. The result for June has more than 100k difference compared to the forecast. This means that there is a drop in the number of employed people in the UK. Since April 2022, the unemployment rate in the UK has remained constant right up to August. The consensus is expecting the figures to remain unchanged at 3.8% as it has been since April. The German Consumer Price Index measures the changes in the price of goods and services purchased by German consumers. It has remained as expected twice in a row at 0.9% and 0.3% respectively. However, the consensus is expecting the actual result for this week to remain at 0.3%. The Swiss Producer Price Index is a leading indicator of consumer price inflation, which accounts for the majority of overall inflation. It has been dropping since May and below the zero mark in July at -0.1%. The consensus is expecting the July result to be positively at 0.1%. As the Bank of England's Governor Andrew Bailey speaks, we expect volatility across all pound pairs. The ZEW Economic Sentiment Index has been pessimistic below the zero mark since March 2022 till August at -55.3. The consensus is still expecting it to drop to -60. Now to the German ZEW current conditions. The August figure at -47.6 was better than expected at -48.0. The consensus is expecting a dip to -52. They are expecting a negative response regarding the expectations for economic growth in the next 6 months. The Eurozone's rating on a 6-month outlook has been pessimistic for the past 2 months. This indicates that the Eurozone's economy is not in a good shape. OPEC monthly report. The energy crisis is still in top gear. The West Texas Intermediate has hit a low of about $81 per barrel. The OPEC monthly report is expected to give us details on key developments impacting the oil market trends in world oil demand, supply, as well as the oil market balance. The US Consumer Price Index month over month for August is expected to drop to -0.1% from its previous zero figure. This means that the purchasing trends in the US is declining due to inflation. The consumer price index year over year. The previous figure was 8.5%, which was a drop from June's all-time high of 9.1% for 2022. Investors are expecting a consensus decrease to 8.1%. The actual figure is expected to play a major role in the Fed's interest rate decision. The core CPI month over month for July dropped from June's high of 0.7%, which was the highest since the beginning of 2022, to August's low of 0.3%. This wasn't good for investors. The consensus are expecting August figure to remain the same at 0.3%. The core consumer price index year over year remained constant at 5.9% for June and July. The forecast for August is expected by consensus to increase to 6.1%, which is a 0.2 increase. As the ECB's McCall speaks, major investment banks are also expecting the EU to hike their October's interest rates by more than 100 basis points instead of the previous 75 basis points. The US federal budget balance. The value has been in deficit since October 2019 after recording a surplus of 83.0 billion in September of that same year. It continued in deficit until January 2022 with a value of 119.0 billion, which dropped in deficit until May 2022 with a more than 200% increase to January's value to give a surplus of 308 billion. It has since dipped since August at minus 211 billion. Let's see if we get a surprise to the upside. Over to New Zealand's current account year over year for the second quarter. For the past 5 years, the New Zealand's current account year over year has been on deficit. However, the previous figure was at minus 23.27 billion with a consensus figure of minus 26.65 billion. If the forecast is better than expected, it will increase the strength of the kiwi. The New Zealand's current account quarter over quarter for second quarter. The current account has been in the deficit since the second quarter of 2020, when it registered its last surplus at 1.83 billion. The previous figure was minus 6.14 billion, but the consensus is expecting an increase in figure to minus 4.7 billion. A figure above the consensus figure will be good for the New Zealand dollar. That's all for now. See you again next time.